Hello, thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at noon. I'm Regan Gallo. Laura Papetti is off today. Well, let's start with the weather today. We've seen some rain outside this morning, and we have a chance of possibly thunderstorms this afternoon. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joins us live from the Outdoor Weather Center with a preview of your forecast. T-Pats, how's it looking out there? It looks a little grim. Tell us more.
Yeah, I know it's super gray at the moment and everything is just completely wet, but honestly, this is the first moment that it hasn't rained for the morning hours here. Now as we cross into the early afternoon, getting a chance to maybe dry out. Notice how Doppler radar showing the showers exiting Spokane County. Give it about another hour in Coeur d'Alene. Funny enough, the cloudier it stays today, the less likely we get thunderstorms. A lot of the rain in the morning hours, if that held on all day long, we would have no chance for any kind of storms. What needs to happen here is the atmosphere needs to recharge at this point. If we see a few peaks of sunshine, that can actually destabilize the atmosphere and give us yet another chance for the air to turn over and give us convection, which would result in thunderstorm potential for the later afternoon hours here. But again, just all gray skies, very much cloudy, maybe still a sprinkle left over at the airport. And as you saw on Doppler radar, still very much raining over Coeur d'Alene. Not at the moment here at our South Hill studios. Haven't even seen a raindrop, at least not in the last 60 seconds that we've been on air. So yeah, a few showers kind of exiting to the east here, but tracking a chance, just a chance though, for scattered showers and thunderstorms into the afternoon. Coming up, I'll show you the time frame of when those storms would be most likely in our region, and of course what area would be most likely to see any thunderstorms. So we'll break that all down in detail for you coming up.
And another wild ride this morning on Wall Street as the market reacts to President Trump's tariff policies. U.S. stocks are down this morning, and the White House remains insistent that tariffs will work for the economy. Trump threatened even higher tariffs against China as the two countries continue to trade threats. And President Trump says foreign leaders are calling and trying to make deals as his sweeping tariff plan takes hold. 10% across the board tariffs kicked in this weekend ahead of harsher reciprocal tariffs around 90 countries scheduled for Wednesday. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
Stocks went on a bumpy ride after Monday's opening bell as markets continue to reel from President Trump's tariff strategy. The president on board Air Force One Sunday night said he's not backing down.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
On social media, President Trump urged Americans to be patient, saying, "Don't be a panican," a new party based on, quote, weak and stupid people. But some Republican lawmakers are joining Democrats in sounding the alarm over an escalating trade war. GOP Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska says he's introducing a House version of the bipartisan Senate bill to reassert congressional control over trade policy.
If we continue to see the stock market go a certain direction, or if we see inflation or unemployment shift in a bad way, I think then this bill becomes a very viable bill.
President Trump says he spoke with Japan's prime minister this morning ahead of reciprocal tariffs taking effect Wednesday. White House officials say more than 50 countries have called the president to try to negotiate.
They're dying to make a deal, but I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country. We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
Today, the first foreign leader to talk tariffs with President Trump in person will be Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visiting the White House this afternoon. The U.S. ally is set to be hit with a 17% reciprocal tariff later this week. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
I think we're hearing from a big segment of the economy. The consumer spending is a big part of GDP, and they're worried.
Washington Senator Maria Cantwell introduced bipartisan legislation which would put limits on a president's ability to impose tariffs without the approval of Congress. The bill is called the Trade Review Act. It would require the president to notify Congress before enacting tariffs, which would expire within 60 days without congressional approval. And over the weekend, protesters took the street across the inland Northwest and across the country as well to rally against the current administration. Spokane's protest was just one of more than 1,200 demonstrations, including one across the state line in Coeur d'Alene. Some out protesting say they were there to stand up for minorities and veterans.
We're not going back. Now the public as a whole, left or right, we're all standing together right now saying enough is enough. Our Constitution is something worth fighting for.
That's Spokane's Human Rights Commissioner Anwar Peace, who says this was one of the biggest turnouts for a demonstration in Spokane since the death of George Floyd. Our news partners at Coeur d'Alene Press spoke to a longtime Coeur d'Alene resident who says Saturday's protest was bigger than any local movement she had seen in recent years. Matthew Patrick Thomas from the Washington State Republican Party shared his take on these protests.
And in politics, there's a lot of theater, a lot of outrage, a lot of you shouldn't be doing this and we're going to stand up. It's like, okay, well, he is doing it and let's see what happens here. But the waste is real. The correction is needed. The debt is real.
When asked about the demonstrations, the White House wrote in a statement, the president will always protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And Coeur d'Alene police search for a man suspected of trying to grab an 11-year-old girl. According to police, the girl says she was approached by a man who initially asked to pet her dog before following her and making an inappropriate comment. Police say the situation escalated when he tried to grab her arm, prompting the girl to run to a nearby home for safety. The suspect then walked away in the opposite direction. Coeur d'Alene police say the man was walking in the Landings neighborhood and is described as in his late teens to 20s. Anyone with information is urged to reach out to the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. Also happening today, opening statements are expected to start in the Lori Vallow trial in Arizona. She faces charges of conspiring to kill her former husband, Charles Vallow, who died in July 2019 in Chandler, Arizona. You may remember Vallow was convicted in 2023 of killing her children, Ty Lee and JJ, in Idaho. For the trial in Arizona, she pleaded not guilty and will be representing herself. Vallow is talking about her next trial. In her role as defense attorney, she spoke from jail to our Phoenix sister station about going back to court this morning.
Convicted of killing her own 2 children in Idaho, Lori Vallow Daybell told our CBS affiliate KPHO that she's not on a mission to convince anyone of her innocence.
I think I'm there to just tell the truth.
An Arizona jury will hear prosecutors argued she conspired with her brother to kill her then-husband, Charles Vallow, in July 2019. Seeking a speedy trial, Vallow Daybell is representing herself.
I don't have training to be an attorney. There's something that I figured out when I got to this jail. This experience has been 5 years running, okay? I went through a whole trial, before in my other state, and then I was brought here to Arizona to face some more serious charges.
During a hearing last week,
the state is claiming trial by ambush from the defense.
Vallow Daybell snapped at the court when the state sought to prevent some of her witnesses from testifying.
I don't think that I'm trying to set a tone. I'm a person that loves everybody. I'm a person that gets along with everybody. I don't like to fight. So this is a challenge for me to even fight for myself.
Although Maricopa County law enforcement has described the charges as calculated criminal acts, in her latest jailhouse interview, Vallow Daybell says the deaths she's been linked to are just, quote, a family tragedy.
I'm fighting for my life here, really.
The 51-year-old has pleaded not guilty and might testify on her own behalf, but hasn't made a final decision. I'm Andres Gutierrez in Phoenix.